Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Um, can somebody please make it stop raining? Oh man, sorry about the noise. But oh, you guys know what the rain does to me. And I'm just like, okay, get it together. But it was just like something it was just pulling all the energy out of me. I wish I had a better excuse, but that was it. And so I said, well, it's okay because surely the Duchess of Success will be on. And so I kept looking. I'm like, come on, Ann. Come on, Ann. And, and, and there was no and. Okay, so I said, well, let me mosey on in here and try to put my game face on. So here I'm is. Here I'm is. Um, hello to Sandra Rose, if you're still there. Considering considering I'm a bit late. Hello, Marcy Foreman, Church Nelly. Oh my goodness, Connie Palmer! Connie Palmer, I sure hope I'm not interrupting your sleep. Berta Sanchez, Joan Garcia, Give Love, Gwendolyn Daniels, Reba Henderson, Annie Bullard, Cookies and Cream, Sherry Ware, Miriam P., Jean Manafay, hello, Lorna Williams, I think I said that already. Okay, let me scroll all the way down to the last of last. Lydia Washington, Joan Garcia, let's say Church Alley. I'm sure I did. Anyway, welcome, host of friends and others. Welcome to the what do you call it? The derangers. Hi, derangers, haters, and vagabonds and hobos. Welcome. Oh man. Let's see. Colleen, what's that? Celine Holmes? Hello. Okay. Let's see. What's that, Baron? I don't want to miss this. I have to go out, but I'm delaying it. Oh well, thank you, Gail and Nita One. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let me see. You say the sound's not good? There's an echo? Okay, let me see if I can fix that. Let me see. How can I fix that? Oh, okay. Let me try to open up another window and see if that works. Okay. I'm glad you told me. All right. So first, let me check this. All right, that's working just fine. Okay, Lorna Williams says there's an echo. Wow, that's unfortunate. Okay, let me try to open up another window and see what happens. Because my PC says that it's fine, but check 1, 2, 3. Check 1, 2, 3. Okay, okay. I think I can kind of hear that on my end. All right, so let me. Oh, it sounds better. Really? Oh, very good. Is it better for everyone? Wait, was it good for you too? Still bad. Okay, I'm gonna try to open up another window and see what happens. What could have possibly happened? Well, if this persists, the only thing I can think of is that I have to go back to sleep. All right. If this persists, the only thing I could think of is I have to go back to sleep. Oh man, I'm sorry. I don't know what else I could do. Um, okay, so I closed out one channel and opened up a new one, and let's see what happens. Are we good now? Is it soup yet? It's better. Okay. All right. Excellent. Well, next time that happens, just remind me to close out that window and open up another. All right. So that I think that's fixed it. I love when it comes together. You know what they say? If it doesn't come out in the wash, then it'll probably come out in the rinse, rinse. You know, it For a long time, I didn't realize I was saying that wrong. I always say wrench, but it's rinse, right? But I have a theory why I always say that wrong. Do you guys remember a commercial? If you want a tough stain out, um, how do you get it out? You have to whisk it out. So I think when I was a kid, I must have connected, or I guess mixed up whisk and rinse and come out with wrench. Oh man. Isn't that weird? But I believe that's where I get it from. So I'm always like, here, wrench that out. Wrench it. Wrench it. Okay, I did wrench it out. Okay, but it's is rinse, not to be confused with whisk. Okay. So no ring around the collar for me, right? All right, so I'm opening up my slides and we are good to go. Yes, you know what? Where is it? I'm sorry. There we go. Nope. Who said coffee? Well, anyway, whoever's there it is. I did have a wonderful coffee, but I had the coffee and then I went back to sleep. Oh man, I'm just like, what is wrong with me? I'm telling you, a rainy day is it just takes all my energy away. I'm so glad I don't have to drive right now. I don't know if I can handle it. It's like I was like, wow, I feel good today. I had my coffee and I'm like, oh, I'm off to a good start. And then suddenly my eyes got heavy. I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna fight it. So, archetypes today. Now, Misan Harriman, of course, the photographer who's responsible for those wonderful images of the Sussexes from the One Young World. Well, if you remember yesterday, they used the photo. And remember, I said, oh, this is a photo that we haven't seen yet, right? Well, I don't know if they got in touch with Misan Harriman or if the Duchess people have got in touch with him. So this photo was released so that they could use it for the event of the Power of Woman. And so I said yesterday, I'm like, I don't think we've seen this before. And I even did the comparison. Where is it at? Oh, that's not it. Well, I did the comparison to the other Sussex photos, and anyway, turns out that as I had assumed, we had not seen those yet. So, and of course, being a loyal squatty, I like to know everything that's going on. So, we've had the treat of those photos. And then, of course, this is a very recent throwback photo. And of course, if you compare that to the other two photos that were released for the from the One Young World, you can see that yes, this is new. So I like this better, of course, because it's not incorporated with the um I guess the flyer or the poster for the other event. And by the way, you guys, yesterday, one of the local news channels in Indianapolis, oh my goodness, it was so refreshing to see how excited they were to announce that the Duchess of Sussex will be making her appearance in Indianapolis. First, they referred to her as Meghan Markle, and then, of course, they said the Duchess of Sussex, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, now that is how it's done. I actually shared that on my Twitter, but yeah, I like it because it was very respectful. It wasn't like like for instance, the Australian morning shows where they make some snarky comment every time they bring up the Duchess of Sussex. It was just the news, and that's it, nothing else. I'm gonna see if I can find that. Of course, I won't be able to share the image with you because it is copyrighted, but at the very least, I can share the soundbite and you can hear for yourself exactly how respectful it was. And I hate that I even have to celebrate the fact that people are being very respectful like that without, bringing up the price of their home and everything. That by itself is like wearing me out. But anyway, you can hear the sound for it here. Uh, okay, it is coming. It's buffering, but it's
big news tonight. Women's Fund of Central Indiana will welcome
up.
here to Indianapolis November 29th. That event will take place at the downtown Marriott here in Indianapolis. The Duchess is a mother and champion of human rights tables for Power of Women. Those tables are available for purchase. You can find the Women's Fund of Central Indiana website for more information.
Okay, one more respectful time.
Big news tonight. Women's Fund of Central Indiana will welcome Meghan Markle here to Indianapolis November 29th. That event will take place at the downtown Marriott here in Indianapolis. The Duchess is a mother and champion of human rights tables for Power of Women. Those tables are available for purchase. You can find the Women's Fund of Central Indiana website for more information.
Okay. Love it. That's all you got to do is just tell the news. Don't make up stuff. Don't sit there and try to figure out something snarky to say. Just tell the story. So, guess what? I am going to put this on the community tab right now. This is how it's done. And then that way you guys can see it for yourself. God bless America. I mean the very considerate tone of this is bringing out my patriotism. There you go. Okay, you guys. Just wanted to share that little sound bite with you. But okay, so we have a new member. Mercedes Keys has become a new member of Royal Sussex. Thank you so much for that. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. And happy Tuesday to you. And I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for that. And you guys, memberships to Royal Sussex is still a bargain at just $4.99. Yes, I haven't done any new levels because I didn't feel like it yet. But I haven't done any new levels, and so it is still uh, I guess a bargain at $4.99. You can have the prestigious membership of the Royal Sussex, which gives you access. Wait for it now. Which gives you what does it give you? It gives you the access to the there you go. You get to use these really cool. Can you guys see it? The really cool stickers. That's what they call them, stickers. You get a chance to use those really cool stickers. There's Afro Annie. There's Harry and Meghan. Ain't that something? Just $4.99. Now that's something to write home about, isn't it? Thank you. Thank you. All right. So, very greatly appreciate it. Let me scroll through a couple of your comments here. Make sure I didn't miss anything important like Cookies and Cream wanting to say hello to a few people. Hello to you, Cookies and Cream. Thank you so much for being here. And as my dear friend would say, Sherry and Sade, thank you for clicking on my channel. Oh man, I love to say that. Uh, Thank you for clicking on my channel. Hello, kids indoor. All right. Let me see. All right, Cali Gal Compton. Compton Cali Girl rather says no one is seeking skull and bones for anything. A bunch of useless royals that seek handouts for doing absolutely nothing. Well, from what I hear, they're on vacation. There's some kind of school break or whatever. So they're on vacation. Camilla, Queen of the Desert, is on vacation. I hope she moisturizes. You know what? If she comes back and she doesn't look any different, I would be very disappointed with her. Outsider's perspective says Bear and I figured out why Candace Owens hates Meghan Markle and has joined the hate train. She is married to George Farmer, a British aristocrat. In those circles, suddenly it all makes sense. Well, anything that is counter, um, I guess, black people, people of color, anything that runs counter to that, and she's on that train anyway. And this is just like the icing on the cake. So, with Candace Owens' stance on the African American community, she is just one of many people. Like, how about Killer Mike, who only comes back every time there's a big election? How about Kanye, who loses his mind every time there's a big election? Or Candace Owens, who seems to come out, against her own people's interests, if you will, whenever there's a big election. However, she did seek the help and support of the NAACP when she found herself the victim of a hate campaign, which just goes to show that, as the natives used to say, she speaks with a forked tongue. So, yeah, it's a shame when people, that's the only means of her coming up, is to be a provocateur against her own people. So, but yeah, there's, and wherever there's one, there's another one to take their place. So it's just the way it is. Thank you, Lydia. That is the Women's Fund tickets. Now, is it true that those tickets are kind of pricey? Is that true? What do you call it? I saw a price for it, and I'd rather let you guys just click on the thing yourself so you could, see it. But anyway, I have just pegged that. I have just pegged it to the top of the chat. So if you guys would like to click on it, you can see for yourself. Yeah, dig into that old mattress or go dig up that jar in the backyard and try to dump some of them coins out and go on to that event. You can represent all of us. Oh, let me see. Naomi Maria says, and that's the reason why I don't watch Australian mainstream media, because of their snarky, childish behavior of Duchess Meghan. That is total disrespect for both Harry and her. It is. It is very silly. It is very silly. And I know for some of our Australian squatties, it causes a great deal of embarrassment. And trust me, we don't charge that to everyone in the country. Um, it's enough things going on, and it's just the idea that they could use the Sussexes, or in particular the Duchess of Sussex, as a way to distract from domestic problems, or just to fill up the airwaves, because the most insignificant person in the world, the Duchess of Sussex, seems to be the most relevant woman in history by the way that people keep using her to bring interest to stories that don't even have anything to do with her. So if she's that irrelevant, how in the world do you find it necessary to throw her name into conversations that doesn't even in any way connect to her? But they do it because it's a moneymaker. So obviously there must be some importance there, otherwise people wouldn't do it. Let's see there. Oh, what's that? I thought the amount was for 10 people. Oh, is that what that amount is for? Huh. Okay. Well, that's not bad. I mean, well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's something lesser for something. Okay. Let me see. Outsider's perspective. Thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Thank you for clicking on my channel. Thank you so much for being here. I love that profile picture, by the way. Okay, let's move on. And so, oh, you know what? I went through all that trouble. You know what I did? I thought this looked a little pale. I don't know why it looks like that. So I actually darkened it a bit. See how I enhanced it? Because that's the one that was posted on social media and it just looks so, I don't know, low quality. So I enhanced it a bit just by, tuning up the color and the black point. And so now it looks, well, it looks better anyway. But yeah, so that's it. That's for Tuesday, November the 29th at the Indianapolis Marriott downtown. Indianapolis, I don't think I've ever been there before. I think I drove through it heading south or something, or maybe heading to New York. I drove to New York maybe twice. Nice drive to New York. Well, any place you travel in the Midwest is pretty boring until you get to the mountains. Once you reach some mountains, then all of a sudden it's interesting. But I tell you, you can sleep your way right through Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. You'd fall asleep. It's boring. Good God, it's boring. Woo! It is boring. I mean, it's so boring. It's like watching paint dry. There is nothing of interest. You'd be like, "Ooh, horses! Ooh, cows! Ooh, Camilla! Yeah, it's it's boring." Let me see. Ohio is on and popping, Baron. Well, I mean, if you're on the highway, it's not. When you're on the highway going through those states, it is just boring. Now, I'm sure the cities are just fine, but when you're on the highway driving through, you don't have any mountains, you don't have any, everything's a big straight line. Yeah, that's the Midwest. It is the wide open plains of the Midwest. And as a Midwesterner, I know I've driven through before, and I tell you, woo, it's boring. But when you get to like New England, it's like you start dropping down out of the mountains because in the Midwest, we're about 300 feet above sea level. But once you start getting close to the coast, then you're dropping down about 300 feet along the way. So very cool. Well, over the mountains and then back down again. So, hey, Charlotte. Bonjour, bonjour, bonsoir. All right, let's move on, you guys. Archetypes. Let's talk archetypes. So I listened to it twice. Um, Very interesting. And I tell you, I guess one of the things that kind of put the brakes on for me today was listening to it and wondering how to talk about it because there are plenty things that was said that might trigger one, and I was just like, um I guess it was inevitable that this day was going to come and we would discuss the archetypes. And well, anyway, uh what do you all's thought about it? Now, I have to say, of course, the revelations about the Duchess of Sussex's DNA was interesting, and may I add that I think that when the Duchess of Sussex said that she had recently um, looked into her DNA, I took that to mean that perhaps, perhaps, um, maybe she's been in touch with, dare I say it, Dr. Lewis Henry Gates? What do you guys think? I wonder if in the future we will see our Duchess of Sussex on, you know, on his one of his specials. I mean, he's had Oprah Winfrey, he's had so many people, and perhaps we'll find out that the Duchess is more royal than the royal family. Wouldn't it be something if Dr. Gates was able to expose the Raglins as being better connected to that royal family than those Gotha, Saxon, Coburg people? Wouldn't that be something? Oh my God, that would cause such a scandal, wouldn't it? Dorothy Ross, thank you so much for the super chat. And thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. And also, thank you for being a member of Royal Sussex. Happy Tuesday to you. Very, very appreciate it. But wouldn't it be something? Wouldn't that be something if we found out that the Duchess of Sussex had more of a royal connection than those meddlesome, mediocre Middletons? Huh? I mean, wouldn't that be something? Yeah, not necessarily the Markle side. What if that connection comes from the Raglan side of the family? I'm just saying. Oh, I'm sorry. This is what I was trying to do. Marshall says there's more to what is that Kanye story? If he goes down, so does what is that? Is that Kimmy Cakes? Okay, yeah, Kim K. And let me see, she was seen with Ivanka Trump. Something is brewing, something dirty. Well, interesting. I didn't know that they were friends. I didn't know they were friends, but yeah, I will take a look out for that one. Thank you so much, Marshar. Marshar is waiting for the dirt to come out, huh? Okay, Baron, Color Me Done. This was my favorite Archetypes episode. Yeah, it was one that was inevitable to happen. And the idea of the angry black woman and how, and I could see how people would use that to their advantage because it's just one thing that I find is that from my experience in the workplace, um, there are a lot of people in the workplace who would be provoked or confronted, and it the one that usually nobody in the workplace seems to want to tangle with is the woman of color. And it doesn't mean that they don't do devious stuff, that they don't that the black woman is like somehow singled out and left alone, but the direct confrontations seem to be fewer from my experience, and that's only based on places that I have worked in the past. But it's just like um most people of whatever ethnic group would rather avoid that smoke. And when they, was it Issa Rae that said that, or was it I don't know how to pronounce her name, but is it Queasy? Well, okay. But anyway, it's just like nobody wants that smoke. Like it's just better avoided. Now, again, that's from the experiences of the limited places that I've worked in my lifetime, is that nobody seems to want to have that kind of situation. And and then for that matter, there's a lot of women of any ethnic background that may feel set upon in the workplace, and then suddenly once they have to assert themselves, then everybody wants to back up and leave them alone. And of course, when it's a woman that is put in that position, then of course the woman is vilified. But if it's a man that's put in that position, everybody celebrates him for being so what is it? So oh gosh, what is the word I'm looking for? Decisive and so strong and such a great decision maker and such. So oh, Sonia Johnson, I'm sorry that's happening. I think everybody else is okay for sound, but I don't know if you'll hear this, but try to refresh. Try to refresh. I think maybe Sonia just joined us. Yes, and then there was the jazz hand comment. I did hear the jazz hand comment. She said that she never joined any of those musical reviews because she wasn't sure that that was Issa Rae, I believe, that said that she didn't know if that she would ever be capable of doing anything like a jazz hand. But of course, we all know someone who is very adept with the jazz hand, grinning and grinning, hair extensions and extensions. There's always that person that one could look toward for that. But as a matter of fact, there are some people that is so entrenched in the jazz hands that they got other people around them doing it too. See what I mean? They done the jazz hands so much that other people are doing it. So um, jazz hands are contagious. That's what I'm trying to say. Is that jazz hands can be quite contagious. But let me see. I love it. I've been waiting for her interview with Issa Rae for a while now, and it was pretty good. Yeah, it was wonderful, and I love the way they connected to one another. And Issa Rae even said that it was just like talking to an old friend, and they seem to have a lot in common with LA, with the Los Angeles area. So that was very interesting. Let's see. Can anyone please tell me where I can get my phone screen fixed? My 3-year-old threw it. Oh, wow. Oh no. I yeah, I mean if you go to any of those phone stores, they can I mean they'll hook you up. And they're pretty fast with fixing them these days. But I would call first and make sure that they have a replacement screen for you. How women are looked at as angry black women. Black women go through this all the time. Meghan and her guests discuss how they have to react or not react to certain things and how as black women are. Well, what was that thing that Megan said about when I walk in a room, I oh gosh, I forgot how she put that all of a sudden. And unfortunately, I'm going to just confess I didn't take any notes. I listened to it twice and I was like multitasking and I didn't take any notes. But oh man, but it was something that uh got the attention of the and oh my goodness, I knew that the tabloid media would be waiting for this one. I knew that they would be waiting for this one, and yes, they did. Okay. Oh, let me see here. Wait, I'm gonna look at one of the articles, and I'll tell you in just a second. Don't judge me for not taking notes. Oh, by the way, they're going to try to strip Kanye of his fortune. I see that Adidas is going to end their collaboration with him. Ain't that a shame? Uh, okay. Give me a second here. Wow, is Zac Efron gonna play the Incredible Hulk or what? Okay. Hold on. Let me take a look at your comments here. Ooh. Okay. Hold on one sec. Oh Lord, how did I do that? Okay. All right. I'm good. No worries, you guys. Let me see. When you say Meghan and Harry are supposed to be distant cousins, well, I mean, when you think about it, we're all cousins, but yeah, they may be a little closer than most. Thank you, Baron, and everyone else, Connie Balmer, Lane Parker, and so on and so on and so on. Thank you so much, Joy Armour, for being here. Okay, let me see. It was all fine and dandy when Ye said slavery was a choice, but or George Floyd was not murdered, but don't mess with the Jews. Well, Donna Black, I tell you, that is like a third rail in in anything political. It is. It is it's a very incendiary position to take. And I I'm not so much a fan of Kanye's in by any stretch, but I think that Kanye is very subject to suggestion, and that and the only reason why I say that is because it's incredible how every time is election time, especially if it's an important election, that's when he flips out. So I don't know where that suggestion come from. I don't know if it's anybody that he's in relation with or anyone in his sphere of influence, but it seems like somebody seems to know how to um, get certain things out of him, and I do think the guy needs some help. I think he's a genius. He's very creative, but I also think he needs some help, and he just really needs to be with someone who can I guess I wouldn't say guide, but support him properly. And that's what I'll say about that is that he seems to be subject to suggestion, or maybe he should just stay off of the internet. Because if there's anybody in a fragile state, the internet is the worst place to be. So you never know when you are talking to someone who may not have your best interests at heart, or someone who's just literally plotting against you. You might think it's just some anonymous connection and they don't know who you are, but they certainly know who you are. Not difficult to do. Yes, the slow mode is on, but it's only on for 30 seconds. But I can make it even slower if you guys think that's not working out. And I will do that right now. I'll put it on the 60 seconds. How many people do we have? I didn't even notice. Let me see. Oh, 12:16. Okay. Yeah, that's good looking out. I didn't think about that, but I think that was just the right call. Very good. I am going to build a shrine to you later. You have been very helpful. Yeah, someone said bipolar may be a possibility, but and I don't mind talking about this, guys, if that's something that's on your mind, but I just don't think that there's anything I personally can contribute. But I just think that I think he's in a fragile place, and certain things may trigger that fragility. And when he is in that place, he ends up, you know, getting married or something like that. I think it goes both ways. On one hand, he may get the mother of all, collaborations to make clothing and shoes, but on the other hand, he may end up with a what was that song by Jamie Foxx? Gives me money when I'm in need. Oh, he may end up marrying somebody and then helping them to build their brand. Do you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to say. It could go one way or the other. So, oh man. Um, but I didn't know that you guys were thinking about it like that. But yeah, I mean, um, uh huh. Okay, let me stop because I don't know any of those people. I don't know any of those people, and I don't want to, start criticizing them because I don't pay attention to any of them. I promise you, I don't. Not anybody in that circle. I don't pretty much pay attention to them. I can't even figure out where any of them got their money from. To be honest with you, I mean, I know they should have some money, but the amount of money is staggering, and I have no idea where it comes from. Kind of like with Prince Charles, where does his money come from? Okay. Um. Anyway, let's move on, shall we? And so there you have Issa Rae. You have Megan and the other people. I couldn't pronounce that lady's name. But so yes, it was a very important archetypes today. Let me okay. Oh my goodness, there's a lot that there's a lot of let me see here. Okay, Gail Becker says after our Duchess started dating Prince Harry, I recall reading something someone posted about Doria Ragland's family tree being connected to the royal family, though it was not sure if it was true. Now, see, that's what I mean, Gail Becker. I know that there was said that there was some connection on Doria's side, um, because it's been said that Doria may have some DNA connection, and of course that would mean that the Duchess of Sussex has that same connection. So it should be pretty interesting to find out. So like I said, I'm just going to go out on a limb and take a guess that since our Duchess said that she recently looked into her DNA, I could only believe that it may have been for that television show. I don't know what the name of the show is. I just know Dr. Gates, and I'm just assuming that that would be the likely. Oh my goodness, there's so many comments. Noreen Bengali, thank you so much for the membership. Thank you for getting a membership with Royal Sussex. Thank you for clicking on my channel, and thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Happy Tuesday to you. Greatly appreciated. Oh my goodness. No wonder you said put it on slow mode. I'm scrolling trying to get to the end. It's a bunch of stuff here. Finding your roots. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Finding your roots. That is the name of it. So, yeah. So I'm just guessing that would really, if the Duchess does that show, and I'm not even sure that's a good idea. And you guys, I hate that that's my first reaction is how are the tabloids going to spin this? But I'm sorry, that is always my reaction. How are they going to, what are they going to and that's the thing about this that is so awful is that they have, I'm just speaking for myself, have me in such a reactive mode that I feel like, I have to come out ready to regulate or move furniture because of what somebody may say or something like that. So oh man, I hate that, but that's how I feel. I'm just being honest. That's how I feel. I feel like I have to always be prepared to defend. I can never just like enjoy the moment for wondering how is it going to be used against. And I'm hoping that that's not what the Sussexes are doing every time they make a move. And I don't think they are. I think that, they've found a way to delegate some of the, well, not some, but a lot of the public relation. I'm pretty sure they found a way to delegate that to some trusted people who can, you know, come up with an accurate response. People like lawyers. When I say people, I mean lawyers, people that people who know how to deal with that kind of stuff, like a lawyer. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Doria looks and has such a regal stature. I'm sure she has royal lineage. Right? Right? Let's see about that. I do have Doria a couple of slides away that I was going to share, so we'll get to Doria very soon. Well, yeah, Doria does seem very regal, very she's just a very stately mannerism she has, so I agree with that. Um, there's got to be something like that there, and I wouldn't be surprised. So, okay, Baron, you feel like you want to feel express yourself. Don't feel you have to hold back from speaking your truth. Sash, thank you so much for that. And again, thank you guys for allowing me to be have this platform, because without you guys I wouldn't have a platform. So thank you for this platform that gives me the ability to express myself like that. And without it, I'm not sure I would be right now, because, as I say so many times, I'm pretty sure that as a squatty, all of us have felt ourselves adrift trying to defend the Sussexes or trying to help them, and you don't really have someone else in the household to speak to. That a lot of people don't understand. Why is it important to you? What Well, they're rich, they can take care of themselves. And it wasn't until Tina and Michelle and Terrell and um V and Special K and such, um before that it was just like, there was really nobody that understood. And then I saw, wow, there's a whole community of people. So that makes a huge difference. Okay, I'm gonna scroll back just a little bit. Joan Commonwealther says, "Who do you think you are?" Is the name of the show. The DNA test is not recently done. It was years ago. Okay, all right, all right. Okay, so she said she recently looked at it, or did she say she had it done some years ago? Because I can't recall. I just know she mentioned 43% Nigerian. So let me see. How Nigerian am I? Um, I shared my DNA with you guys one day recently, and let me see here. Okay, Nigerian, 19%. And Cameroon, Congo, Western Bantu people, 21%. Mali, 20%. Ivory Coast, Ghana, 11%. Benin, Togo, 11%. Wales, 9%. England and Northwestern Europe, 3%. Ireland, 3. Norway, 2. And Senegal, 1%. So that's me. You add it up, and that should get you to almost 100. Um, Boy, I tell you. Let me see. Oh, you know what? They updated that. You know what? That's the old one, and then I think they updated. Okay, yeah, the updated one. Oh, now see, now this is what happens. They do give you an updated version of your DNA. This one is April. Oh yeah, okay. So no, that was the new one. I'm sorry, the one I just read. That was the new one because yeah, October 10th. So with the new one, instead of being 29% Nigerian, now it says 19%. So they do update those. So even after you take it, as they get more samples of people with a common link to you, then the numbers kind of change a bit. But yeah, so they do update those. So yeah, it should be interesting. But I would just really love to see her on that show. I would love to see the Duchess of Sussex just about anywhere, but you already know that. Okay. Let me see here. Let me see. Baron, we lose a fight when we live our lives allowing racists and bigots to dictate how we feel or react. You can't allow hateful people to control how you exist in this world. Well, yeah, that's true, but then again, that I guess rather um, knee-jerk reaction to mistreatment of yourself or people that you love, that is just something that comes naturally. Yeah, that is something that comes naturally. So, I think in some cases it's best not to let people know they're getting under your skin, and then there's other times when you have to regulate. You have to regulate. You can't just let people push you around either. Let me see. Not that I'm implying that you're saying you should, but I'm just saying. Sometimes you just have to do what comes natural. I bet Charles is changing the patent law right now after finding out that Meghan is 43% Nigerian. Whatever 43% is. Okay, all I can say is this podcast today was powerful, extraordinary. Let me see. It does not matter what say. Remember, no one owns Princess Meghan. Thank you. Oh, what said? Okay, I got that. Thank you so much. All right. The Markle clan said that uh, we're they were Irish. I'm saying that they were related, not Irish. What am I saying? Right? They were related to the royal family. That's why they were mad about the wedding. Speaking of which, do you guys remember that TM uh, TM Senior said that when the Queen died, he felt like he just lost a relative. Really, they wouldn't have you pass the threshold, let alone break bread with you. The overly inbred royal gene pool has been improved and diversified thanks to Meghan. Yeah, Meghan, and of course, because of Princess Diana, now they're actually more English. Thanks to Diana, now they're more English than they are German. So that was the thing, is that Diana actually improved the connection to England. So William will be the first king that is more English than he is anything else. So Diana, and that's why they were so keen to have Diana in the family, is because Diana could kind of bring that bloodline back to where it belongs. Well, should I say, back to a more accepted level of English aristocracy. Not that there's anything wrong with their German ancestors, but it's just rather odd to have that imbalance on the throne like that. So, um, matter of fact, I don't know why they don't just change the last name to Spencer Windsor. Okay. Okay, the racist, bigots, and hateful people have contributed to the pain and hurt in this world by making others feel as less than. Allowing them to limit how you exist is only letting them win. Very true, Tashmak. Very true. There is, am I saying it right? Ziwe? Is it Ziwe? But anyway, that's a photo that she took from their recording session. You could see the studio that Archetypes or that Spotify has placed in the Sussex home, or perhaps it was the Archwell audio that put the studio there. But yeah, so that is where the Duchess works at the home there. So you get a chance to see a little bit of the recording session. There you can see the sofa that she sits on when they're recording. Very cool photo, and she actually posted this on her social media. Okay, 43% Nigerian. That is what the Duchess of Sussex said today. 43% Nigerian. I am 17% Nigerian and 3% Ghanaian. Very cool. All right, I'm scrolling. I'm scrolling. Lorna Williams says, I have not done mine yet. Is the best DNA company? Okay. What is the best DNA company to go to? Some have better African data than others. I would say figure out the one that has the biggest sampling. And I think, what is it, 23 and me, or maybe I went to ancestry.com. But yeah, the larger sampling survey, the more accurate, and the accuracy actually increases over time. So definitely better to go with one of the bigger companies. All I can say is don't ever get in trouble because they will find you. But it doesn't matter, believe me. If they want to get a sample of something from you, they probably already got it. So, um, oh, let me see. On V's podcast today, she stated Tina was over the moon. I heard that, right? Or was it on Instagram? I did hear that. Okay. Okay, Baron, remember when Dr. Henry Gates of Finding Your Roots got arrested going in his own house, and President Barack Obama had him. Okay, yes, I do remember that. He got arrested, and Obama said something about what the cop did was stupid, and then in order to, smooth things over, because I mean, yeah, when the president criticizes anybody, that's punching down. And it just goes to show how different things are after Trump compared to when Obama was in office. Obama, has the guy over for a beer and everything, and they have a conversation and make amends or whatever. Whereas if it was Trump, Trump would have doubled down, tripled down, and the his people would have been probably hunting him down in the street or whatever. So it's like a huge difference compared to having a real president like Obama compared to that usurper, Donald J. Trump. Squatties, hello, hello in the house, Revolutionary House of Sussex. I am late, very late. Love, let love abide here. Um, for love, for fellowship, band, and country. Thank you so much, Grace. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here. Okay. All right. So, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle Archwell Foundation has donated to Save the Children and UNICEF in Nigeria to support communities affected by flooding. Well, that just came out today. Apparently, Archetypes Foundation has made a donation. I don't know what the amount is, but it is to UNICEF and Save the Children. So, again, as members of the royal family, they are doing something that the royals would rarely do. if ever. And when they do, you never hear the end of it. And that is to make a donation to a cause that actually helps people, or make a donation, period, because that is something that is just very rare for the unroyal family, is to actually make a donation. And so Harry and Meghan have caused a great deal of embarrassment for the royal family because of that. When the rest of the family goes any place or does something or hears about something, they'll pay it lip service, but quietly and discreetly, the Sussexes make a donation, instead of the other thing like smiling and waving or whatever. They actually make a donation, which is, huge in comparison to the rest of that family. So, um, very important. And from that donation, of course, they actually inform others because of the attention that the Sussexes will bring. It's just amazing how the rest of the family, they'll speak about something, and it's just like it comes and it goes, and nobody does anything. Nobody seems to have interest in it. But if it's Harry and Meghan, it becomes like a big media thing. So that's just the difference.
I'm sorry we can only come and give words and comfort, but we are thinking about you the whole time, and we really care about what's going on. So
sometimes it's that's more than financial.
well, if we can give you the odd smile here and there, that's important. So I'm sorry we can only come and give words and comfort, but we are thinking about you the whole time, and we really care about what's going on. So
sometimes that's more than financial.
well, if we can give you the odd smile here and there, that's important. So
Like when you consider Megan's going to Uvalde and quietly and discreetly just spending time. It's like I was saying that if you know someone's in grief, the best thing to do is to just spend your time. You don't have to talk about anything. You could ask them, "Do you need something?" But it was done very discreetly. It was only when people noticed her by the memorial did anybody even know she was there. Otherwise, she went to the kitchen, volunteered with the ladies, um, and of course, well, let's see. They pay for the funerals, and they also okay, and then of course the playground through the Archwell. But I'm trying to remember, did they pay for the funerals? I think they paid for the funeral costs of some, if not, I don't know how many. It may have been all of them, but I mean, that's huge. That is huge. And as a mother, and Megan felt moved like so many other people. And right now, financially, she's in a better place today than she was some time ago to actually do something about it. Not that she didn't donate before, but still, even now, now that they have so much more wealth, they're able to do so much more. I mean, that's the whole point of the foundation. So I think that's epic. That's incredible. All the royals should do that. They have the money, they have the resources. They should do that. I think that people would take the rest of that family more serious if they did actually put their money where their appearances and royal duty is, if they actually put their own money up front. So let me see. Yeah, just a little smile and a wave. Just a little smile and a wave. That's about all we can do. Okay, let me see. Georgia Walker, hello. Let me see. William had the nerve to actually tell those people that was shocking. He was letting them know to expect nothing from them. Yeah, and it's just that simple. Do not expect anything. We got some brownies from the kitchens of Kensington Palace, or we stopped along the way or something like that. We sent one of the flunkies out to get it, and we brought that to you, and some suspicious looking granola bars. And that's all you got coming. Okay. And then right here, you see there the royal treatment. Meghan champions working mothers. As it continues to expand its philanthropic footprint, Meghan and Prince Harry's company, Archewell, has lent its support to the Marshall Plan for Moms, which led by CEO and founder Reshma Sajani. Oh, I think I got that right. The organization was built around easing the challenges of the pandemic for women caring for children while working. The group targets several important pay equity, reproductive rights, mental health, and rallying private employers to advocate for public policy. It serves roughly 25,000 families, and Archewell is a financial supporter and founding member of the project launched in May. Did you guys hear that? A founding member. Archewell is a founding member. I love that. In the US, one of the biggest barriers to winning policy change is that as a society, we don't value our mothers and all of our invisible work they're doing to make our families, our businesses, and our entire country function, says Sajani. So when Meghan Markle, who is an icon, I love her, who is an icon to so many people, uses her platform to stand up for moms and to lend a voice to that experience, she's sending a powerful signal that we matter and our needs are important. Meghan describes the group as an incredible organization that works nationwide to give families all the help they need at this moment. She adds, their work is in alignment with the work that is deeply important to me personally and that I will continue to do. Don't you love that? Meghan, who is an icon, say it again. Meghan, who is an icon. Oh man, I love that. Love it. And okay, so part of the archetypes, they mentioned the double consciousness. This is why I told you guys it was kind of it was a little stressful listening to it, but this is the one thing that really stuck out with me was the double consciousness. W.E.B.D. Du Bois um, actually coined that phrase. Double consciousness is the internal conflict experienced by subordinated or colonized groups in an oppressive society that, oh, is that test? Let me see. Okay, the term and the idea were first published in W.E.B. Du Bois's autonographic work. Yeah. The Soul of Black Folks in 1903, in which he described the African American experience of double consciousness, including his own. Originally, double consciousness was specifically a psychological challenge African Americans experience of always looking at oneself through the eyes of a racist white society and measuring oneself by the means of a nation that looked back in contempt. The term also refers to Du Bois's experience of reconciling his African heritage with an upbringing in a European-dominated society. Well, of course, that is something that is not necessarily unique to African Americans because there are so many societies and so many people who may have origins in other places, right? So you have that kind of thing. But what makes it so unique to African Americans is that when you throw in the very recent history of slavery and the fact that it's not only that you have a cultural conflict in your immediate community or even in sometimes in your family, but the other thing is the fact that the more, shall we say, um, predominant members of society may look at you still as though they are looking at someone who is not just different, but also inferior. The law at one time concluded that as an enslaved person that you were inferior. And so that type of duality is something that definitely makes it unique to African Americans. So I've seen one of the things I'm addicted to is watching those World War II documentaries. And I've seen a ton of them. And one of the actually, there's a couple of cases that I watched where there was a young girl who grew up in Germany, and I don't think she was biracial. I think her parents were from Africa, and they had come there as students, or I think they were students. But the father left and went back to Africa. The mother stayed and had a thriving antique store business, and then the war came. And when the war came, she actually was able to see Adolf Hitler with her own eyes. And she said it was this very bizarre calmness about her situation. In her small community, she never felt as though she was actually what do you call it, discriminated against. But she didn't actually learn discrimination until she came to the United States. She married an African American GI. It was an incredible story. And what's so interesting about her is that she had this very unique story that she never shared with another person outside of her immediate family. And while she was working for a library in New York, I think it was a library, someone heard her rather strange accent, a little Southern Black and very German. And so they were like, "Well, where are you from?" And she told them her story. Fortunately, that person made audio recordings of it. Some of you guys may have seen it. I don't even remember the lady's name, but I remember I was just like so drawn into her story because of how impossible something like that could be. So imagine that you felt very secure as a child, even though there was, and I'm fascinated with the idea that there were Black people in Nazi Germany. Black people. But there were. I mean, it was just a handful, but they had to exist in that atmosphere. And I think she had an uncle or someone who actually served as a cook on a German warship. A cook on a German warship in Nazi Germany. And she said that when they had to evacuate the city, they went south to Bavaria. And that was like the first time that she had felt othered in her life, was going to Bavaria. Well, Bavaria is the more conservative part of Germany. And if you're going to encounter racism in Germany, it is way more likely in Bavaria than any place else. So that is one that sticks in my mind. And so it is so many places where you don't ever expect to find Black communities, but they're everywhere. They're in some of every kind of place. And I'm always interested to see how they get on. So that is one of my favorite things. So let me see. CMAX says,
Growing up in Germany, I only experienced anti-American sentiment. I never had any real ancestry discrimination until I moved back to the United States. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Yep. Let me see. Okay, all I can say is that this podcast is powerful for bean pies to Maya Angelou's, and still I rise, and still I rise. Sister, you're absolutely right. I love when they played the Maya Angelou. That was beautiful. And the bean pie, I've never tried the bean pie, and I'm just imagining Meghan like going to buy a bean pie. I mean, it's just every week we find out something new about the Duchess. As she said from the beginning, the person, or what did she say? Something to the effect of the person that, or the me that nobody really knows, and this gives me a chance to, share who I am with people, and thank goodness for that. Yeah, I love the bean pie part. Yeah, please tell us some of your favorite parts of it. There are black people in, is that Abuk? And none really knows where they come from. I cannot say that. Abkhazia. Is that in like Eastern Europe? Is that in Eastern Europe? I think. Well, isn't there like a famous author and poet from Russia? What was his name that was like so famous? And he was very clear about his African heritage, and he was very proud of his African heritage. And he is a national hero in Russia. Oh gosh, I can't remember his name. But yeah, I mean, even though people try to whitewash the African experience in other countries. Like I just found out that in Argentina, they are very few black people there compared to what there were before. And that part of their independence struggle from Spain, I believe that they had a black president in Argentina before. So, just like in the Caribbean, they try to whitewash everything, especially when it comes to the independence movements. But it's just a shame that so many people of African descent have fought these battles for independence, and yet they either try to whitewash them out of history or give them absolutely no recognition for it. Okay. Okay. Where was I going here? Yes, I love W.E.D. Boyce. He was so intelligent. He spoke in Durham, North Carolina on, what is that, Pettigrew Avenue? Back in the day, was known as Black Wall Street. Really? Oh, so they had a Black Wall Street in Durham, North Carolina as well, because there was the one in, oh gosh, where was the other one? Uh, oh gosh, I can't remember the name. Um, was it in Missouri? No. Why am I going blank on that? Okay, I'm here. My sinuses. Oh, it's this damp weather. My sinuses. Ugh. Do I have my air purifier on? Yes, I do, and it doesn't seem to help at all. Maybe I need to turn it up. Oh my gosh, my sinuses. Oh man, sorry about that. Okay, Nash Singh B, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Happy Tuesday to you. Thank you very much. Okay, Bean pies are sold all over Los Angeles by Muslims. They are really good too. You know, I have a friend that told me that I got a bean pie in there. And I said, I've never had one of those before. So, um, y'all know I'm kind of greedy. You know, I'm gonna go out looking for one now. Okay, let me see. Light side of the moon. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Did I just say that? And thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Oh no, I didn't. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Okay, you guys. For this last, for this last, there you go. For this last 30 minutes, because I'm going to try to keep this under 2 hours, I am going to put the link, although I'm afraid, but I'm going to. I would like to hear from someone who's never had a chance to speak to us here at Royal Sussex. There you go. But yes, that's the link. Try to keep your comments brief. But yeah, I would like to hear from you guys directly about the podcast today. Preferably somebody we've never heard from here on Royal Sussex. All right. In the meantime, let's do this. Now, here is someone who didn't care what anybody thought of him. And that, of course, is Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson, probably one of the most controversial and one of the greatest fighters of all time. Jack Johnson was arrested many times for his, I guess, choices of women, meaning, of course, white women. And at that time, this guy just did not care. If there was anybody who didn't seem to struggle with his duality of anything, it of course would be Jack Johnson, unapologetically black. Jack Johnson just didn't care. And this photo, I believe, is from 1910. I think he was born in 1887, or was it 1878? Anyway, he owned an automobile like Madam C.J. Walker when most people barely had money, let alone disposable income. He actually owned, oh, Tulsa, Oklahoma. Thank you so much. He actually owned an automobile. And there are many photos where you see people, black and white, who are in awe of this guy's wealth. Back in those days, of course, most automobiles, if any, were ever covered. They were these open concept vehicles, and he actually owned one. He unfortunately loved to race cars, and he died in a car wreck. He actually survived the accident only to die because the nearest black hospital was about 25 miles away. So that was back in 1946. And anyway, I was thinking about the thing that Du Bois said, and I thought of this one person that didn't seem to have any deference for anybody in the world. And that, of course, back in those days, Jack Johnson. I mean, his way of life was either go big or go home. So just someone that I thought of today when I thought about that thing that was written by W.E.B. Du Bois. I want to say W.E.B.D.B. So I have to say it slow, or I shouldn't say it at all. If I do say it too fast, I start sounding like Duchess Doolittle. Okay, Baron, there was a little black kid who was so famous in the former USSR. All Russians knew him. He was in a famous Russia. Oh, I saw that before. And that was okay. I'm trying to remember that story. it was kind of like he was adopted by the country, wasn't he? I remember that he was in a movie over there, and the movie was actually kind of used as propaganda to, I mean, because there were a lot of black people who believed in communism, because in communism, there's no race, there's no religion. According to communism, there's no anything, everything belongs to the state. And so in theory, communism seems like it solves everybody's problem, but of course in practice, communism, just like democracy and capitalism, it always seems to favor the few. But I won't get into all that. But I remember, and he was kind of used as propaganda by the Soviet Union. But yeah, I do remember that story. A very interesting story. I love stuff like that where you see someone who just, by all accounts, shouldn't even be there, let alone being able to thrive, and yet somehow they do. How about that? Okay. All right. A recent study has found that women who carry a little extra weight live longer than the men who mention it. Is that true? Is that true? I mean, help me out here. I'm asking for a friend. A recent study has found that women who carry a little extra weight live longer than the men who mention it. Has that happened in your household? Have you lost anyone in your family because they mention your weight? Have you changed residence away from your partner because they mention your weight? I'm just curious, just asking for a friend. Oh man. I kind of figured that'd sneak up on you. Um, but yeah, it's like a real deal breaker, isn't it? So depending on the circumstances, some things are just best not to mention. Better for your health, better for your well-being. Okay, so all right. I'll never tell. Okay. No, Gail, Anita, I don't think so. I have put the line open for if anybody wants to comment about the archetypes. Okay, he stood his ground. All right. Russian don't carry that love to date. With vile hate for black people. Yeah, you know that I want to say that the racism in Russia, that is something that seems to has kind of evolved. Now it was okay. I'll put it to you like this. I think that it was like a lot of ethnic groups from Europe when they get to the United States. It's just like, oh yeah, I know how to hate. But it was a time when, you know, people just kind of looked at you as more of a curiosity in Russia rather than hate. But since Putin has been there, homophobia, racism, and all that kind of stuff seems to have like expanded as part of a national identity, where, and I think they only did that to try to instill this like feeling of superiority while everybody slowly goes broke. So yeah, that has become a thing, and they have become increasingly racist, but that is like a matter of national policy. Like I saw like this thing where they said that okay, like the dating sites, that they would entice people um, what basically entice gay men to go on dates. And then when you get there, they beat you within an inch of your life or rob you. But anyway, the the, um, the police, thanks to Putin, have been instructed to look the other way. So that is like a national policy against the LGBTQ community, thanks to Putin. So yeah, a lot of that stuff. I mean, because there were a lot of blacks that went to the communist countries as students, and I told you guys a story about I was in Prague, and I walked past this shop, and I saw this black woman in the shop, and our eyes met. I mean, and when I looked, I was walking. I glanced to my left, and I saw her looking at me, and I'm looking at her, and I kind of looked like, what? And I just started smiling, and then she was smiling because she just knew. I never saw this woman before in my life, but she knew exactly what I was thinking in an instant. And so I took like three big steps backwards and pivoted to the left and walked in the door. And I just walked up to her and I said, "What you doing here?" And she just threw her head back and laughed. I said, "What are you doing here?" She said, "Well, me and my husband, we came here back in the 1980s as students from, I think she said, Senegal." And I said, "Oh," I said, "Okay, because I ain't seen too many black folks since I've been here." And it was just so funny that without even knowing each other, it was just like that instant connection where our eyes met, and I had that what look on my face. And I go in there to investigate this situation. And that was when she told me her story about how she and her husband moved there. And they had been there all those years. She showed up back in the 80s as a student, and they liked it and they stayed. And so, even though there were so few black people in the Czech Republic, let alone Prague, she stayed. So there's a lot of people, just like we found out how many black people there were in Ukraine, because uh, even today that tradition of blacks going from Africa to Eastern Europe for their education still exists today. So um, very interesting exchange we had. Okay. Joy Amor says, Baron, the Russians not going to let that black basketball player, that woman, out of jail. They're keeping her for 9 more years. Yeah, it could go either way, Joy. They might keep her for 9 years. They may let her out next week. She has become a political pawn. And let's say if Putin is really sick, um, that might be the best thing that could happen, is if Putin suddenly dies or something, she may be able to get out of there. But it's just a bad timing because the United States and other Western countries are sending all of this military hardware to Ukraine, and the war is not going in their favor. And so the timing could not be worse. And it's unfortunate because they don't want money. Russia has plenty money. They don't want money in exchange, but it is a way to embarrass the president and punish the West. So yeah, it was bad timing. And all I could say is when I traveled as an African American. I don't have to explain to you what that means. When I travel as an African American first. Um, it's the same person that drives through the South. It's the same African American that goes to the all-white suburbs. That's how I travel. So I'm not trying to play the blame game or anything, but that's how I travel. Um, and I've heard lots of horror stories of people who have, traveled places, and especially younger people, they don't know those stories firsthand or have not heard those stories from other people. But you always have to remember, whatever color you are, whatever color you are, when you're in somebody else's country, you have no rights, none whatsoever. You just don't. And hopefully she'll get out of there. I mean, it wasn't like she did anything wrong, but I think from what they said that everything was still like in the Amazon box, and you would think something like that would be okay, but again, they look for something. When you go to Russia, whatever device you have is already compromised. If you have a computer, they hack into it. If you have a phone, it's hacked into, and they will scan all your information before you even leave the airport. They've already looked into everything on your device. I mean, when I got back from Russia, if I went and I got back to the United States, I would probably just get another phone. Um, Even if that would help, because they're very good at that stuff. So, oh man, I feel sorry for her, but it's just the worst possible timing. Yep, worst possible timing. I really feel for her family too. Yeah, it's unfortunate, very sad. Baron, isn't it interesting how the leader of a country can pollute the entire country with their own hate and racism? Donald, Boris, Putin, and Bolsonaro in Brazil. Don't forget Bolsonaro in Brazil. And of course, they do have the new fascist leader in Italy. So, yeah, these so called progressive Western countries are just as subject to suggestion as any place else in the world. Just as subject to suggestion. And it is interesting. Thank you, 1960. Okay. Baron, the angry black woman was part of this week's topic. How should we describe Whoopi? Tired, tired. Whoopi, as a moderator, is not able to express herself in a way that she would probably feel comfortable. Whoopi probably needs her own podcast in order to be Whoopi, but Whoopi cannot really be Whoopi on that show. And trying to squeeze words into those sound bites and having people speaking against you in your ear, you come up with these scenarios like this where she was considered anti-Semitic for her comments, and then of course this whole thing with Meghan was just absolutely sloppy. It was a sloppy mess. Um, it makes me wonder, was the idea hers, or did she get a talking point from the producers? Here, say this. Um, but in that moment, can you really think fast enough to say the right thing when you're live on television? Um, yeah. But yeah, I wouldn't say that she's angry. I just think she's frustrated. And I think that she wants to tell other black people what to do. Whoopi seems to have this need to educate other black people on how they should work within the system, and that I don't think that works out well. I think she should just mind Whoopi's business, if that's not being rude, and stop trying to school everybody like she did with Monique. when she said, I would have schooled you. It's like every time she does that, it comes out wrong, you know? So yeah, maybe that's what it is. But either way, it's like foot and mouth disease. She just keeps doing that. And it'd be better if she just um didn't engage in that stuff. And I think where a lot of frustration comes from is that here Meghan is out there fighting for her mental health and survival and trying to thrive and grow her family. And for the most part, the view has been absent. So you got a show called Loose Women that seemed to go after her, at least once a week. And here in her own country of birth, you have a show called The View, and there's a show, for women, about women and women's issues and thoughts and stuff. And they lend her almost zero protection. And then the one time you have to say something, that comes out your mouth. So yeah, that's gonna rub people the wrong way. Yeah, I've been thinking about that, and all I can say is just Whoopi. It seems tired, and she's been there for a while. Maybe it's just time to hang it up. Sometimes even Joy Behar, she says some really odd stuff sometimes, and it's like between the two of them, I almost cringe when they say something sometimes because you just never know who's going to be offended. So, but yeah, I don't want to vilify her. Um, but it's like with anybody else, you reach that point when um you wonder. It's like with what's her name, the Ellen show. I had predicted Ellen had reached the point about a year before she said she was quitting, because you can just kind of tell the nastiness. She seemed to be very impatient, and that's the energy that I'm getting from Whoopi, is that she just seems to lack patience. She seems so frustrated and impatient sometimes. That's what I see. Now, I don't watch the show regularly, but that's not going to turn out good if that's what's going on. So I don't know. I don't know if I answered your question or not, but it was just something I was thinking about. So TCC son, thank you so much. Are you there?
I'm
Oh, you
here.
just
Can you hear
unmuted
me?
yourself? Yes.
I
How
did.
are you?
Hey,
Thank you
how
so
are
much for being
you?
here. I'm
I can't
very well.
believe it. I just got off of work and I'm like, he's letting people talk.
Yes.
Oh, it's not. Okay, so full disclosure, I just had mouth surgery and on Friday. So I took 3 days off. So I'm learning how to speak. So if any
Oh,
words
you
sound a little
too, huh?
slur, yes.
You too.
Yes, but I am so
As you know,
happy
I've
I
I've had
finally could afford it.
I've had oral surgery a couple of times, and when they were in New York that first time, within a couple of days, I was slurred speech and everything, and so I
Mhm,
got some new teeth, and I'm not wearing them
mhm,
right now, and I should, but oh
mhm.
man, it's more than a notion. But I'm glad to have my smile back.
Exactly. I know exactly how you feel. I'm like, I'm smiling again, and I'm a makeup girl, and I can actually really wear my lipstick. So I'm gonna slur until I get it right. I don't care. Like, look, you guys, just put, a face mask on, baby. I'll have one on too, so won't nothing come jumping out at you. But I woke up this morning at 6:30 because I just had to hear this podcast. I can't believe I'm doing this every Tuesday, but I really was waiting for this particular podcast. But even before I get on the podcast, now you can't vilify Whoopi, but I could take her down. I'm hot buttered, hot at this woman. I am so mad at her because let me tell you, I'm a baby boomer just like you. And she's been around long enough to know better. She has been in this industry long enough to know better. She knows all the tropes. She knows how this media pits one against the other. And even if she forgot, I remember when her and Whoopi and Oprah actually sat down and had a conversation, and they didn't even know why they were upset with each other because the
That's what they
media
said.
pitted them. Yeah, because the media pitted them against each other. But they still, to my knowledge, they still never came back because it was just too much distance in between. Thank you guys saying I sound better. I appreciate that. But I'm so mad at her because she is old enough to know better. Why in the world would you come after a young black female like you was at one time and try to bring her down?
Right.
You know good and well. Everybody out there knows that when you apply for a job, what the requirements are on paper. But then once you get to that job, it can get switched up easy. I could see the advertisement for Deal or No Deal when they said they wanted a model. And she said, "Oh, okay, I could do that. And we got to have this for a game show, and you're going to hold a suitcase." Okay, I could do that. But you're not going to sit there and tell me that she knew what she was getting into, that they was going to put extensions in there. They was going to stuff her boobs. She was going to wear these short dresses. They going to have these V-neck down to her navel. They didn't put that in the advertisement. Whoopi knows that
Right.
too.
Well, and my humble opinion is, especially if you have not signed a non-disclosure, if you experience anything, it is your right to speak your truth.
Mhm,
Even if you do
mhm.
have an NDA, if you feel so strongly about it, it is your right to speak your truth.
Yeah, and it's
And that's
terrible
all
because
to
I'm
it.
upset. Yeah, and you were so right when you said The View has all this full women panel, but they don't say anything in reference to Meghan until it's something
And
negative. And what is it, show 5?
right.
Now you wanna say something?
Yeah.
But I feel as though if The Real was still on, they would have been has said something, and I'm saying that only because the cast is younger or was younger.
Right.
And I think they may have, brought something up. But again, I still go back. Whippy's old enough to know better. She know that Megan is getting beat up. She knows this. So you're just gonna come out and start hoofing and puffing. Oh yeah, she knew what she was doing. This is making no sense. Da da da. That was the day I really wished I was sitting in the audience, and I probably would have been escorted out. Now I wouldn't have cussed at her, but I sure would have got a hold to her because I would have been like, "No, we ain't doing
But
this." I'll use her words.
but
We ain't gonna do this.
have you noticed though? Do you see what I see when I say that she seems to be so frustrated and so exacerbated and so impatient with everything that's going on around her, and she just well, if that's what she want to do, let her do it. She has that
Yes,
very kind of
yes,
choppy
she does.
shortness in her. Yeah, and when she was younger, it was interesting. Like, oh, there go Whoopi again. But
Mhm,
now that she's older, it seems like she puts more, like it's more like frustrated, more
mhm,
angry when it really shouldn't be. And
mhm.
then the people that you really should go after,
You
you
don't.
want to keep your job, so you don't. And
Mhm,
so the easy target is, oh, I'll just say this about. It was just very odd the way
mhm,
her demeanor changed, and then she's making the audience laugh,
mhm.
as she's saying it, and she's a comedian, so she knows how. But it was all very odd, and I looked at it a few times, and I wasn't so much angry as I was just like, Whoopi, what are you doing?
Okay, so the next
You
time you
know?
said you looked at it a few times, I want you to look at it again, and this time, and I'm saying that somebody might be upset with me out there when I say this, but next time, because you may not be aware of this, but I want you to look at it and say menopause. Okay? Menopause. I just want you to look at it and say, oh, okay. Oh, you know what? I see it. I see it. That's
Yeah,
impatient. You ain't got
and
time
when
for
I
it. You
see
don't
a
want to hear nobody
person
else's
have that,
opinion. Hmm.
well, I was gonna say when I see a person have that like rather physical, kind of like body language wiggling, I if I don't get this out, I'm gonna explode type
Hmm.
of impatience with someone. I
Hmm.
just all of a sudden that's all I can see. I'm just like, why is this person going through all this? It just seemed like she suddenly became animated, whereas
Yeah.
before she was just sitting there. Then she got so animated. Well, let me say this, such and such and such. I'm just like, what are you doing? It was.
So
I
I
guess I
just
was
said
more
it's smoking.
shocked.
She says I'm
I was
smoking
more
the weed
shocked
to her
by
bed.
the sudden animation of it. So,
Yeah.
it's just I don't I don't often I don't often get really angry with people, as you probably guess. I probably
Hmm.
I'm too patient
Exactly.
sometimes,
Yes, you
but
are.
I don't
Yes,
often
you
get very angry with people. But I do notice things, and I do like definitely read into body language and tone and stuff like that. So it was
are.
definitely something there, but I'm just like, okay, if you had a relationship with Megan and you said that to her personally as a good girlfriend, then I think that you could have that conversation. But as I've said so many times, there is a such thing as black people's business, which means that with
Hmm.
everything that we have gone through in this culture, in this society, something of that effect gives cover to people that already have it in for us. And that's
Exactly.
just never a good thing.
Exactly. But Whoopi was
That is
completely
never
out
a
of
good thing.
context. She was completely out of context because she was saying she shouldn't make the other people feel like that. She wasn't making the other people feel like that. Oh, the contestants wasn't paying you no attention. She didn't say anything about the contestants. She's telling you what happened behind the stage. So you are just not paying attention. I was so mad at Whoopi. I even went out there on Twitter and said, okay, Whoopi, I need for you to listen again to the podcast, come back, make an apology for the words that came out of your mouth. She upset me so bad. I'm like, I
Well,
can't believe you did that. I just
well,
can't
the,
believe she
where
did that.
it started going wrong when she just didn't watch the podcast.
Yeah.
Now she watch a whole lot of stuff she wants to watch, but the number one podcast for that first couple weeks or whatever it was, the number one in the world, and you just didn't
Hmm.
watch it.
Yeah.
You
I
just
can't believe
decided
that.
you're not gonna watch it, and so
Yeah.
that is
It's
where everything started going wrong. And then you
hmm
sitting there, all of a sudden you done got animated, and you done sat up in your chair, and you wiggling because you just got to get this out. I
just
got
gotta
to
get it
say
out.
this.
I got a point I have to make. Yeah. But I'm thinking because I don't have a chance to watch them, I'm thinking that the other shows in reference to Jennifer and Sherry,
Uh,
they may be saying something positive, but I don't get a chance to see their shows. So I'm gonna have to just really make an effort to really watch their shows and see what's going on. But I also wanted to talk about today's podcast and how wonderful it was to um to hear her. And I'm like, I finally this topic because I knew it was coming. I just didn't know who she's going to get to represent it, and she really did good with getting is it Zoe or Zooey and is uh
oh,
come on
thank
as
God, because
Easter
I
Ray.
can't say it either. And
You can say okay,
I couldn't
but
say it,
it
and I
was
was just like, I was feeling bad.
yeah, but I was loving the topic. And just so you guys know that Twitter was like giving at Megan Mode, Megan Mode, Sussex Squad set. And I hope you don't mind me mentioning that. It's usually
Oh
a
no,
pretty good
no, go
set
ahead,
with
please.
another use. Okay, because she created or didn't create it, but she did create a that Maya Angelou, and that video. She did have it, but she like inserted different videos of Megan, and Megan used that video today.
I think I
So
saw that. I think I saw that.
yes. So a lot of people on Twitter are like congratulating V, like V, she's using your stuff. She was like, "Yeah, I know." She's like, "I'm so excited." So that's just
Oh,
something for you
that's
guys to
right.
know.
That's right.
Yeah. So a lot of
Absolutely.
people was congratulating her for that. So I was so happy, and everyone was saying, "Okay, she's actually letting us know. I see you, Sussex Squad. I do. I see you." And then they
I hope
had
she ain't watching Royal Sussex.
Oh, so
I
I
hope
don't see
she not
why
watching.
not. You're one of the biggest ones out here. She needs to be
Uh-uh.
watching you. But guess what? Look, everybody know your catchphrases because they talking about Edwina. They talking about the silk chicken.
That's why I s-
This young lady, she was African. She was talking and she said Ford Fiesta. And about 3 or 4 people said, "Who's Ford Fiesta?" And she said, "Oh,
Okay, now to be fair, I got that from Tina and Michelle.
oh well,
That's where the Ford Fiesta
that's where it
starts.
came. Well, she had to
Uh-huh.
explain who she was because she didn't even really know the woman's name anymore. All she knew it was Ford Fiesta. I fell out laughing. I said, "Oh, look what he's done. He's got everybody using all his catchphrases." It was so funny. But yeah, just crazy. Some of it is just crazy. But yeah,
Yeah.
today was really good. I really, really enjoyed it. I did like V got her props, but that thing that they got, that angry black woman, it can really hold us black women back. And that's what it was designed to do. Because even I've raised 2 daughters, and I know for sure when I was raising them, telling them that, they had to work harder, they had to do this, they had to do that. And I have a temper, and my oldest daughter has my temper. And I used to have to sit there and just talk to her. She went in the military, she came out, she went in corporate America, and I had to kind of maneuver with her to say that they will use that against you to hold you back, but also you're teaching them how to maneuver in society, but without even being aware of it, you're also teaching them how to hold back a part of themselves, you know? And
Right.
it's really hard because they're not setting them boundaries, because as soon as they go to set those boundaries, now you're the angry black woman. And you're
Right.
like, well, how do I deal with this? And my mother's no longer with me, but my mother used to drive me crazy. She was the one that what came up came out. And if you couldn't take a joke, that was her saying, then that was her. But as I've gotten older, I get it now. She was just being her authentic self. It is what it is. Because once you start to hold all that stuff back, or you're in an environment where you have to think one thing 4 or 5 different times to present it, so they won't look at you as being too aggressive, or you got a certain tone, or that type of thing. It's exhausting. It's exhausting when in actuality it's something that really was created to hold you back. It really was created to hold you back, because if you have a woman that's in a corporate environment and she's smarter than, because they done taught us that in order to get to a certain spot, this is the goal line. So you have to be excellent. And here you are, you're building your skills and you're becoming excellent only to get to that goal line, and they bypass you with somebody that's mediocre. And you're sitting there and you're looking like, did that just happen? And your anger, you have anger because you took years to develop your skills, only for something cute to come along and just bypass you. Then they tell you to train her or him, and you're so upset, but you can't be seen as the angry black woman, you know,
Well, and
even
then
though.
let's think about like the Jim Crow era when
Mhm,
so many times they would like arrest as many black men as possible to
mhm,
have them go out and be laborers for the county or the prison
yes,
system or whatever,
the
and have them
chain
on a
gang.
chain gang.
Yep,
Yeah, and
chain
so
gang.
often black women had to defend the home. They
Mhm,
had to be able to defend the homestead because they were the only thing standing between, the lynch mobs and their children or whatever.
mhm,
People
mhm,
would be in their homes or whatever. A black woman in her home with her kids. The husband may
mhm,
have been arrested for anything, if not have been murdered or whatever, and
mhm.
so she has to defend that home. And so,
Yeah,
of course, that is where some of that, especially when people have relatives that come from the South, a lot of blacks would come from the South and move north, and they were battle hardened, whereas people who grew up black in the North may not have known those times because some
yeah,
black
they didn't know the
communities.
difference. Yeah.
Right. You would never see a white person
Mhm,
unless you went to the downtown or something. But in the
mhm.
South, it was a whole different story. So, of course, black women have had to be able to assert themselves just to keep the family safe when the
Yeah.
man has been ripped away from the family. And that happened far too often. So,
And it's
you know,
amazing that you said that. Okay. I'm sorry.
well, I was going to say, and I would just say that if there is I guess a legacy of that extra, that's where it comes from, is that you had to be a
Mhm.
little extra to keep people up off of you, and even from other black people who knows that you're vulnerable,
Yeah.
because
Oh my
you
gosh, do
can't
not say
call the
that. Okay.
in rural areas, you can't call the police.
Mm-mm.
They're not interested in what's happening in your community. They
They
only
are
interested
not.
in what happens outside of the community if you venture
Mhm.
out of the community or whatever. So all you had for protection as a woman in these rural towns or in the South, you only had yourself to protect you and your children. So, yeah, there's a fine tradition of that from the South where, you
Mhm.
hear stories about, oh, my grandmother would sit there on the porch with her shotgun and that, and
Yep.
that.
But that was to
That's why.
save her family and herself. Yeah. Because soon as they
Exactly.
realized you didn't have a man in the house, they figured, oh, well, we're going to run up here and do whatever we want to do because they looked at these women of color, as being exotic when they
Right.
just felt as though I have the right to do what I want to do because I'm a man, And the woman was like, you know what? I'm not having this. You already done took my husband or you already done took my man, and now you think you're gonna come in here and mistreat me? And I think it's really sad that they're always talking about the black woman, how strong she is, and this, that, and the other. Yeah, but then you get mad and then you try to say, well, yeah, she's so strong, but now she's very aggressive. Well, which way do you want it? Which way do you want it? Because we had to be strong in order to raise the family. And sometimes that may have given you some hardened edges. But the only way we could protect our family was we had to give you a certain tone to back you up off
Right.
of her and off of the kids. And now you want to say she's the angry black woman. And then you use it as a slur. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I tell you what they don't understand, and if I wish a lot of women of color would understand that sometimes, and I know you can't use it in every environment, but sometimes you do have to pat yourself on the back of being that angry black woman. Because if you are truly an angry black woman, there's a lot of people that don't even want to get caught up with you. They're like, I'm not even going over there. And
Well,
that,
that's what I said earlier. I don't think you
mhm.
were you could have heard it earlier, but
Yeah, I probably was
I
at work.
in,
Uh-huh.
in some work environments, there are, it's like I don't care if it's the chief operating officer. It's always a particular black woman that I have worked with that nobody wants to tangle with. She go to
Mhm.
work, she do her
Mhm.
job, she does it well. I best leave her alone.
Yep.
And it's like when someone is hired new into the place,
Mhm.
it's like people say, just don't mess with so and so.
And they got so much respect, they
Right.
have so much respect,
Exactly.
and but you don't know. But the sad part is, it's like that's where you have to take that chance and say, you know what? I'm
Right.
setting boundaries, period. And it doesn't matter. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to be good at my job, but I'm setting boundaries. I'm making you aware of that. But you're sitting there
Exactly.
hoping that someone is going to respect you for that. Whereas there's a lot of people who are trying to get ahead, would take their foot and put it on your neck and turn you into the bad guy you know
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it's just being in that environment. It can be so hard. I had a boss one time who used to drive me nuts, and this one day I just lost it. He was such a nice guy, and I have to say he was my favorite boss, and we continued to work together after this. But I was so fed up with him that this one day he came in there and he dumped all this stuff on my desk, and he was kind of rude and da 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 da, and I was livid. And I said, okay, I'm old enough to know how to give someone a professional cussing out without cussing at them. So I went over there,
Mm-hmm.
I grabbed my pocketbook, I put it on my arm, I took my car keys out, I went to his office door, I knocked at the door, and I went in. I just, I went, how dare you treat me this way? Da, 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 da. This is what I do for you. This is how hard I work for you. And you're going to come in there and you're going to treat me like this. You will never, ever treat me like that again. And you have a nice day. And I turned out around and was walking to the elevator. He runs behind me. He's like, where are you going? I said, I'm going home. I'm fired. And he said, go in there and finish it. And I'll come in there tomorrow and apologize to you. But right now, I don't think you're going to listen to me. And I'm looking
Right.
at him like, did he really just say that? But I took so much from him thinking that if I set those boundaries, I didn't want to be considered as the angry black woman. And it's so hard. There's so many women out here. You have to think and overthink things to make it happen because that's their way of shutting you down, and you're trying to use
Yeah.
that against you. We weren't raised to be submissive. If you was a child and female and you were submissive, that was beat out of you as you got older. So now you're opinionated. You want to do this and you want to do that, only for adults to come back and try to beat that out of you. And now
And
you
I
got to
think
think double twice. You have to think in two different societies.
in some cases too that like with the hair, that's like a subtle microaggression against a black woman in the workplace. It starts with the hair, or um, if they decide they want to wear their nails in a way that is different, then it's the hair, the nails, the you dressing this way, and it's just like you always see where there's a couple that's turned around at a restaurant because of the dress code, but then you'll see
Hmm.
somebody white walk right past or sitting
Right
across the
past you.
room that's
With all
wearing
their stuff
whatever
hanging
that
out. Mhm.
right. But I think it's just a matter of what do you call it? The stereotypes and such that as soon
Mhm.
as they see brown or black, is there's this they feel like they have to react. They have to be poised for the 911 call. And
Mhm. Mhm.
woman, man, it doesn't matter when they see someone's dark skin. Just like when I see where these cops have slammed a teenage girl to the ground
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
these high schools and such, as though she's not even a human being.
Not even a human being, and this is so
And what does
so
that
true.
say to other black women or young black
Mhm.
girls? when they see that aggressiveness used against
Mhm.
another black person, another black
Well, it's not
child,
just that, it's
what
the
does that
black
say?
men too that see that
Mm-hmm.
happening to the women, and a lot of black men will not help a black woman. They will not help a black woman. I've seen it too many times. I've even confronted one guy for it because they're under the impression that, oh, black women, they're strong. No, hold on, wait a minute. You're under the impression that if a black woman who has two children, husband done passed away or he done went to jail, and she's trying to hold it down, you're gonna look at her and you're gonna say she's strong because she's trying to keep her family together. But strong doesn't mean physically strong that she can beat a man. So if another man walks over to her who happens to be Caucasian, European, however you want to put it, and he's selling wolf tickets and he's turning out to be, a kin or something to that effect, you're going to walk right past her and leave her there because she's selling wolf tickets to this man trying to defend herself to bring attention that, hey, I need some help. But a lot of black men will not do that. They will
I think
not walk
it's that
over there.
stereotype. It's that stereotype, and I think that even a lot of black people feed into that stereotype that, oh, she's strong, she's black, she's strong, she can handle it, she can handle herself. Because she's not backing down or cowering, then obviously she's not in trouble and she can have. And I
And that is
think
so
that
not
that's a
true
stereotype that not only have infected the mind of non-black people but black people too, where we
in
we
general. Yes.
sometimes think that, oh, they can handle themselves,
Mhm.
like it's some kind of supernatural power or something like that.
Exactly.
There's an inner strength where you can't afford to blink when
Mhm.
somebody's threatening you, but it doesn't make you physically stronger. It just
Exactly.
means that you had better stand your ground. I'm going to tell you an interesting story that I saw. Have you ever heard of that? Well, it was a documentary called My Secret Daughter, and that was on
No.
PBS, and it was about the guy that was on F Troop. He married this white woman who had a black daughter in secret, and I
Mhm.
think her father's name was Stumpy or something like that. But he was the prototype of the Jerry Lewis character, and Jerry Lewis even
Okay.
admitted that a lot of his physical comedy he took it from this black man's act and used it and built his fortune with it. Well, anyway, um, when this white woman was with this black actor entertainer, there were few places they could live, and there were times when he was so, I guess you could say, I beat up by the system where he wasn't recognized that he
Mhm.
became a raging alcoholic. He was disrespected by Hollywood, didn't get his recognition and such. Not that it made it okay for him to abuse this woman, but he did. And she
Mhm.
understood where his pain came from, but she couldn't stay with him because she he was doing this in front of their biracial child, and
Oh,
she was
wow.
getting physically hurt. Well, anyway, so she left the child with a black family where the child could fit in, and she basically had to leave this child behind because in those days she could not exist in the world the way that she wanted to and keep
Mhm.
this child at the same time because it was kind of like what Mariah was saying in her childhood, very much
Mhm.
that way,
Mhm.
where she saw
Mhm.
her mother slapped down to the floor. So anyway, to try to make this long story short, she said that they were living in New York, kind of on the fringe of Harlem,
Okay.
and that there were occasions in this building where they managed to get an apartment where she was beaten by him And she said the white people looked at her, a white woman being beaten by this man, and they just ignored her. And she said she couldn't
Mm,
help but think that they felt that since you crossed that line, then you got what you got coming. And
mm.
they ignored her. Yeah, it was
And that
very
is so
interesting.
sad.
If I can find that documentary, I will put it on the community tab. But it is called The Secret Daughter, and I
Mm-hmm.
watched it a couple times, and it was very interesting how this girl finally got the courage to interview her mother about her childhood. Like she said that her grandmother on her mother's side said she's really cute. She said it's too bad if she didn't look so much like a monkey, we would be able to keep her.
Mm. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah, yeah. And
Oh
as
my
she got
gosh.
older and she was starting to look darker, that was when the conversation was had about, okay, I got to take her someplace. And so they did take her to live with this black family. And then later on, when she was a teenager, she was brought back into her mother's household. And so she was going to these parties and stuff in Hollywood as an adopted child of this white family.
Wow.
Isn't that
I just
interesting?
found it.
It
It's
was
called
such a
June
good
Cross.
documentary.
I
June
just found
Crust,
it.
that's the
Yep.
name.
I
That's
just
the name.
found it.
If you can watch
Mm-hmm.
that, it
Mm-hmm.
is so amazing. It is
I
so
see this
amazing.
on
I've
a
watched it
Daily
several
Motion, the
times.
preserver. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Very,
Wow,
very good
that's
documentary.
crazy. That is so, so crazy. It's sad, but
Uh-huh.
it
Yeah.
happens so much. It just happens so much in our community. It's amazing you brought up the hair, but the hair could be a long story. My grandmother gave me a whole lot of
Mm-hmm.
knowledge. She was born in 1923 in North Carolina. Her dad was white, her mom was Lumbee Indian, and she was
Mm-hmm.
Megan's complexion. But some of her other sisters were, this term, light, bright, and damn near white. You know that term,
Mm-hmm.
and they could
I've heard
pass.
it.
Okay, they could pass, but my grandmother could not necessarily pass, depending on what environment she was, but she was very, very light skinned. As she got older, she started getting a little darker and darker. But she did something when I was growing up. My mom, who was much lighter than me, um, I went to go get a job and I couldn't get the job. Every time I went to apply for jobs, I couldn't get the job. And my grandmother said, I got something for you. And I was like, what? Because I was really getting depressed. And I was like, what's going on? And she took me in the kitchen and sat me, I know where I'm going. She sat me down in the kitchen and she pulled out that hot comb and she started straightening my hair. And my hair was nice and curly. It was down to my shoulders. Oh, honey, I thought I was cute, baby, because I had the same hair like my grandmother. And her hair, because she had Lumbee Indian, it literally went down her back. So she
Mm-hmm.
straightened my hair and got it all curled, and I looked all cute. And she said, "Now go apply for the job." I got the job. And I said, "Well,
Oh,
was I
okay.
messy? Was I messy? What happened?" And she said, "No, you're no longer intimidating white people with your hair."
Ain't that
And I
something?
said, "Excuse me?" Because the school I went to was a good mixture of black and white. I mean, it was like one year it was 60% white, and the next year it was 60% black. It just kind of went back and forth. I went to a pretty decent school. I went to school with Joe DiMaggio's son. I mean, we went to a pretty decent area school. And she said, "No, the problem is," and she went back into the history, was that, at one time, of course, as they're doing now, they would take the black men out the home, the black fathers, the black husbands out the home, the wives had to get a job. But the main thing that intimidated a lot of the Caucasian women was our skin and our hair. But we couldn't change our skin, but we could change our hair. So that's where all the wigs and everything came into play. Or they would say, "Oh, you got your little curly afro and everything, your hair looks dirty," because it was so different than Caucasian hair. So Caucasians couldn't understand the texture of our hair. So that's where all these wigs and, everything kind of came into play. So you walked in with your brown skin, but you had straight hair. They just still turned their nose up, but now they didn't feel like you were dirty. So that's where all
Mm-hmm.
this hair and everything started going on. And then once you sit there and you calculate it, this generation after generation after generation after generation with this hair in order to get into corporate America and all these different places, then you can understand why there's so many wigs and everything that's out here, because it's still got the Crown Act is still sitting in the House or in the Senate that has not been passed, where they cannot discriminate against you because of your texture of hair. Now that's your DNA.
Right.
You can't do nothing about your hair. That's your DNA. So, but you're not going to give me the job because I got a beautiful curly, afro, or just curly hair, or just a nice full head, of hair. But because you feel uncomfortable because you got this straight stuff that sticks to your head if you don't take a shower in 24 hours, we don't have that problem. But a lot of women get discriminated against that. And that right there also contributes to the angry Black woman, because now she got to put all these chemicals and stuff in her hair just to get a job, or just to
Oh,
even
and
to
the
start a
thing about the
career.
chemicals, did you see the thing about the chemicals? Now they say that was so bad for you
Oh,
that
yeah.
they
Oh,
said,
yeah.
yeah, isn't that
My
something?
grandmother
I,
always knew. She went every 2 weeks to get her hair straight. As she said, fried, dyed, and laid to the side. She used to say that all the time. I'd be like, Grandma. And it was beautiful. It was good. She said, girl, I got to go get my hair dyed, fried, and laid to the side. I used to say, she is too much. But she would do it. She would always say, don't put no chemicals in your hair. She used to say it's going to give you a brain tumor.
isn't that
She used to
something?
always, she used to always say it's going to give you a brain tumor. Hmm.
Well, I'm looking for the documentary because is her name is June Cross,
Hmm.
JuneCross, June Cross. Secret Daughter is the name of it. Now I'm not seeing the actual documentary, but she did do
I did find it.
some
It's on Daily Motion. Hold on a minute. I'm
Daily
clicking on it
Motion.
right now.
Okay,
It's going to play. I'm going to see if it's going to play.
okay,
Oh, in
yeah,
my
because it
ear.
was it was originated from PBS, and
Yes. Okay.
they
I'm
now they
trying to
want
put.
you to
There it
pay
is.
for certain stuff. So
Well, don't
I'm
say
gonna
that, 'cause
find it
it
right
started
now.
playing as soon as I clicked on it. So they ain't say nothing about no money.
Oh no,
I got.
yeah, not only Daily Motion. You PBS now they want
Oh
you to pay
yeah.
to see it, but it
Hmm.
was you could watch it for free. So it's just called Secret Daughter, right?
Yes, Secret Daughter. I did
Uh,
my Secret Daughter, but didn't come back. But I did find Secret Daughter.
Okay,
Hmm.
and that's Daily Motion.
And I think
Oh,
it's
okay.
Yola.
I
Yeah,
see she has
Leola.
the
I've
audio
seen
book.
managers do that a lot, saying they have poor personal appearance because of what they chose to put, because of their natural hair. That happens a lot to women. That happens a lot, where they will say when it's time to do those employee evaluations and you're wearing your natural hair, they'll come in on your paperwork. They'll say there's a hygienic problem here. And you'll say,
Okay,
excuse
not to interrupt you, but I see it's in more than one part. Is that what you have?
Yeah, I got
Where it's
part
in,
one and
uh-oh,
part two.
oh Lord, it
Mhm.
started playing. I see what you mean.
See, that's what I told you. It
Okay,
just
so
started there.
I'm gonna just put that the link for it for the part one, and then you all
Mhm.
could work it out from there, and that'll take you somewhere. But
Yeah,
she
that'll
also
take.
has a book that she's written about it too.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So that's that, and I'm going to pin that to the chat. So if there's anybody who wants to see it, you can search it out like that. But yeah, it was a very good documentary though, and like I said, I've watched it a few times. Another good one, of course, is Lena Horne in her own voice, or I may have gotten it, but anyway, it's a documentary of her experience, and it sounds a lot like. I mean, of course, she looks very biracial to begin with, but her
Mhm.
experience is that of somebody stuck between two worlds from her treatment in Hollywood and such. So And the thing is that Lena Horne never really wanted to go to Hollywood. People coerced her into
Wow.
going. And this is what I learned is that they coerced her into going because they wanted her to break those barriers, but she wanted to stay as a jazz singer,
Mm-hmm.
and not really get into the acting. But when people kept, pushing it, she's like, okay, well, and that's the thing is she was very reluctant about it, and yet, she did not want to be a first and the most and the this and the that. She just wanted to be an artist, and that was it. So it was kind of a tragic tale. But if you have ever wanted to see her one woman show and you just couldn't, like me, just me trying to go to New York, I hadn't hardly been out of my hometown at that point. So,
Mm-hmm.
but
It was
it's
a
as
piece
close.
I heard you talking about that, and I said, "Oh my
Uh-huh.
God, he's right." The very first play I ever saw was Timbuktu. I don't know if you
Oh,
remember
with
that.
wait, don't
Eartha
tell me,
Kitt.
Earth Kid. Yes,
Yes, that
welcome
was
to
very
Timbuktu. I
first
saw
play.
that
Yes.
commercial and I was like, I want to see that.
Wasn't it the same
Welcome
time that
to
Lena Horne was on?
Timbuktu.
Wasn't they both
Oh, is
there at the same time?
were they? I guess
I
they.
don't
I
know. I
just
think
remember
they
that
were.
back in the late 70s, early 80s,
Mhm.
it was all of this good stuff on Broadway, and if you
Yes.
were lucky, it would come to your town. But I
Mhm.
never got a chance to see any of it. So if it wasn't made into a movie, I probably didn't see it. But it was seemed like a really good time for live performance back in those days.
Yeah, it was. I
And
remember.
yeah, and you know
What
what's
was his
sad about that too, though, is that when the AIDS crisis came, all that
mm,
talent from Broadway seemed to just die off
yes.
one after the
Who
other.
was
That
the
was like,
7 Up
and it seemed like,
actor?
oh,
Remember him?
I
He
know
was in it.
what's his name, the
Jeffrey, was
bald
it
head guy,
Jeffrey? Yes, he was in that, and I remember was it
Jeffrey,
Jeffrey?
Jeffrey
I forgot.
something. I
Yes,
forget
he
his
was
name, but
in that,
somebody's
him and
gonna
Eartha
tell us.
Kitt. Yes. Y'all know, y'all got this.
Wow.
I remember that. That
Well,
was
you know
my
what?
very first Broadway show.
Last night I happened to watch. Oh my God, is this 7:10? Now, see, I'm talking to you. I done lost track of time. But last night I happened to watch. What's her name? The one that just died, Jessica. Who's the lady? The Murder She Wrote.
Oh,
God, I forget her name. Angela Lansbury.
Lansbury, yes.
Angela
Mhm.
Lansbury. So I saw a video, and it was her opening the 1973 Academy Awards. And
Oh,
when I
wow.
watched it, there's Diana Ross nominated
Mhm.
for, I think it was Lady Sing the Blues, or was it
Mhm. Or
Mahogany?
Mahogany, was it
And
Mahogany?
then
I'm not
there
sure which one. Mhm.
there was Billy D. Billy, what's the name? Billy
Williams.
D.
Williams.
Williams.
Billy
I
D.
was about to call
Williams.
him Robin.
Yeah, baby. Yeah,
Yeah.
no. My mama love that
And
man. Mhm.
and Cicely Tyson was nominated for Sounder, and it was just really, and it was only a split second that I saw any of them, but they were walking into the Oscars, and I felt that sense of pride, like, because
Wow.
after the civil rights movement, they and the one thing that I think that they got right is that they really pushed for black representation on television. And so Angela
Mhm.
Lansbury did this opening for the Oscars, and there had to be at least like four black people in that production, which, you know, for a kid coming out of the 60s like myself, to
Mhm.
see that on television, it wasn't lost on me. I guess that's what I'm trying to
Right.
say, is that it wasn't
Mhm.
lost on me. And I hope that young people today don't just like dismiss it as just being there, instead of recognizing how hard people fought to have access to those spaces. And I
Mhm.
and like, this is from 1973, and I'm looking at it and I'm just like, wow, there's a brother there, there's a sister
Yeah.
there, and the
Mm-hmm.
first person that like did any part of this routine with Angela Lansbury is this black guy with this big old fro, holding her hand as she stepped off or something. And I'm just like, now you see, that's
Mm-hmm.
all we want is to be treated as equals and have that
That's
kind of
it.
access.
Nothing more.
So
Nothing more. His
that
name
was
was
that was a good
Jeffrey Holder. That's him. He did the
that's
7
it.
Up. Jeffrey Holder. That's him. He was in
Right.
Timbuktu and Eartha Kitt.
Who was he
And,
married to?
oh
He was
goodness,
married to somebody famous, I think.
I didn't even know he was from Trinidad. He was poor. He was born in Port of Spain,
Yeah.
Trinidad and
And he had a
Tobago.
brother.
Man had his
Him and his
brother. He
brother
has a
came to the
son
US,
named Christian Holder,
but he
and
was married to
his
somebody
son
famous.
is Leo.
Who was
And
his
who was
wife
his
though?
wife?
It was
I'm
somebody famous.
going through.
Oh, she was a dancer.
Oh,
She was like a dancer.
Carmen here we go. You know me and you in this speech thing. Lavadol, Carmen D.
I know she was
Lavadol,
like a famous
L.A.
dancer choreographer,
Yeah,
and
she's
they had
cute.
a great they had a great relationship
Yeah,
because
there she go.
they were they really were both artists that uplifted each other. I saw a
Mm-hmm.
documentary that he was in, and it was really good. And his brother also, I forgot what his brother did, but
Yeah,
they
I
were kind of
just.
like they competed
Mm-hmm.
with each other.
His wife was
Um,
black. She was from Los Angeles, California. She went to Thomas Jefferson High School. Okay, now.
uh-huh. She was like some kind of famous dancer or choreographer or
Mm-hmm.
something. I think she was like in what was it? Not Jeffrey Ballet. It was something like that. I think it was what's the black dance company?
Alex Haley.
Um,
Alex Haley.
yeah, yeah, I think it was I think she was in that or something. I don't remember,
Let me
but
see where
it
she
was a
at. She
while
was
ago that I
born
saw
Los
that.
Angeles. She was the first Creole
Alvin
African
Ailey.
descent prima ballerina at the Metropolitan Opera. That's who she
How
was.
you like
Okay.
that?
Hello.
How you like that?
That's who she was. Yes. Oh yes, she
Well,
sure was. She ain't
I
playing.
was I was looking at now see this is why I like a lot of those old interviews because I was looking at an interview where Diane Carroll said that she wanted to dance ballet. She wanted to study ballet.
Mhm.
And her father, who I guess you could say could pass, he
Okay.
had took her to like the most important dance company in town. And when they took a good look at her, they refused. They said, oh no, she's in the wrong
Oh,
place. And her
wow.
father saw the look on her face and he took this guy to a side and said, my daughter has come here today to dance and she's going to dance. And so she did. And this was like a little pity thing where he was going to let her have her moment and then dismiss her. But then she ended up staying in the class, even
Mhm.
though they were
Okay.
ready to dismiss her. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm getting mixed up. It wasn't Diane Carroll. It was Nicole Nichols, Star Trek,
Oh.
Nichelle Nichols,
Oh.
her father.
Mhm.
Her father, when they had moved from a small town to Chicago, and the guy was going to send her away because we don't teach those type of kids here. And her father
Oh goodness.
saw how damaging that was going to be for her. And so
Mhm.
he talked to this guy because her father could pass. And it was just a matter that he had talked to them and said, I want my daughter to dance. And for him, it just didn't dawn on him that his daughter wasn't good enough. And fortunately, that moment set a course of life for her where she never ever had to doubt her ability or doubt that she was good enough because her father stood up for her. That was very important. That's
Wow.
why I say you got to watch a lot of those old interviews even
Mhm.
if
Mhm.
it's something, but it's so much there. There's no big
Mhm.
documentary about her life, but I watched that interview after she died and learned something that I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life, and I will share their story with other people. And that's why it's so important to hear those voices from the past, because they have had that lived experience and they've been through some stuff, and it's a lot that we can teach Black people today from what not just our families, but some of these trailblazers have gone through in the past to get
Mhm.
to where they are. So
Mhm.
I love that story. And, like I say, they're probably not going to make a big film about her in our lifetime, but even if they do, hopefully that'll be a part of it.
Yeah, you have
So
to go to the
you know what?
director
I
for
need to
that.
go.
Yeah.
I need to
Yeah, because
go.
you
I
just
have
talking.
just sat here.
Thank you
Right.
for
I'm down
allowing
and
me to
just sat
talk
here.
tonight. I appreciate
No,
it.
I appreciate it. We hit on some very important stuff, and you were able to lend a voice to the conversation. Well, not really even a conversation because I was the only one talking, but the doc what is it, the archetypes that of
Mhm.
course I was unable to do by myself, and I greatly appreciate that. Plus someone told me a while ago that pedal was on. I'm just like, okay, well, I'm about to get off of here, and that was about 40 minutes.
Ooh, you
That
in
was about 40
trouble.
minutes ago. I know. I'm just like, literally, I'm sitting here like lounged back in the chair and just talking. And anyway, I do appreciate it though. It's a good
Thank
way
you
to
so
get in
much. You
trouble.
guys, y'all
Like
have a good evening. I enjoyed this conversation.
well, thank you. We enjoyed
Mhm.
you, and have a good day. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
And okay, so I'm gonna ginge avenge you guys and get us out of here. Pedal is on. I'm so sorry that I have I guess I just kind of I've been enjoying the conversation though. Okay, and I see it's only 800 of y'all. So yeah, I a lot of time has gone by. Okay, the list. I'm so sorry, Sherry Ware. Oh boy, I tell you, it has been a day. I was like so sleepy before I started, and now I'm just like all a wide awake and engaged and talking a mile a minute. So I'm going to my list, courtesy of Sherry Ware. Thank you all so much for the memberships and donations today. Mercedes Keys, Masa Kali, Outside Perspective, Dorothy Ross, Noreen Bengali, and Nash Singby, and Light Side of the Moon. Oh, you guys, and I haven't been paying attention to most of your comments, but thank you so much. And thank you all for being here today. And and to our guests we had today, was it TCC son? Thank you so much, because that was definitely what we needed. Oh my goodness, I have lost track of everything right now. Oh man. But yeah, so greatly appreciate it. Let me see here. Yes, it was TCC son. Oh boy. Well, thank you, Yellow Bee. I like I said, oh, again, thank you, TCC son. All right, now what am I doing here? I need to get a last thought of the day. Um, okay, yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening. Great. Thank you for closing it out. All right. And I will see you all over at Pedals. And thank you to Mama Doria and to Diana, our Queen of Hearts and Queens of Everything, as always, for those fantastic cheering. And all right, then we are going to Ginge Avenge. Where did the time go? I feel like somebody roofied me. Go. Oh wow. Uh Sharon and oh boy, it's busy today. Sharon and Pedal is on, I think. Wow. Oh well, you guys, good luck deciding. I'm not gonna tell y'all which one I'm gonna watch, but yeah, they're both on. So yeah, you know what? I was gonna put a link up for one or the other, but I'll leave you all to it. But yeah, thank you all so much. It was a great thing today. And gosh, I feel like we covered a lot, right? I feel like we covered a lot. I guess I had a lot to say. And hey, Anastasia Isabella, I'm so sorry I didn't say hi to you earlier. Um, and Mercedes Todd, Diane Hawkins, Trinette Mitchell, hello. Man, I just feel like I don't know, I feel enlightened. I really do. From the archetypes, and then TCC's son came in, more enlightenment, you know. I feel like I learned a lot today, and I was finally able to articulate my feelings about that person. I don't want to bring up her name again from the view, but um and still I'm struggling with her because I'm like I said, I'm just disappointed, very, very disappointed. Um yeah. Oh well. It was a day to think, I suppose. Um was that? Oh, okay. Let me see. My share good conversations are hard to give up. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, through and through. I mean, it started with archetypes, and at least for me at the moment, it ended with TCC's son. And then of course now I have to decide. I guess that's why I'm stalling, because I mean I have so much respect for both content creators, but who am I going to go listen to? I mean, I can start with one and then go back to the other. I guess that's what I'm saying. But ooh, that's tough because I mean they're both so gifted. So I don't know. I am going to just I don't know what I'm gonna do. And just so I don't get in trouble, I'm not gonna say what my intentions are. I'm just gonna uh, say bid you guys a fond farewell until next time. And I'm gonna anyway. By the time I make up my mind, they'll probably both be off the air, and I'd have missed both of them. So, oh man, I'm I'm dragging it. Well, let me see. Oh, I know. Where did we go here? Um, this is I didn't even talk about this. Where was it? Oh, Connie Bomber says, forego a grudge, forgive and apologize if you were wrong, laugh and a little more. So that was from Connie Bomber from a couple times ago. So there was that. And then, of course, oh, I didn't even talk about that. Oh, did you guys ever see this? Did you guys ever see this? This is like one of those apps where they reimagine a person's appearance. And anyway, this has been floating around on the Twitter for some time. And well, that's Harry if Harry wasn't such a light-skinned Harry. And of course, I don't think that the except for the darker complexion, I don't think she looks much different from the Duchess of Sussex now. So anyway, kind of a weird thing to look at if you ask me, but still, um, they posted that because of the 43% thing today. So that was that. But anyway, there's the real deal, Doria and Meghan. And I love that photo of the two of them. I love, love, love. This is like I want to say this is like my favorite, although it's hard to, oh, and if you remember that, just seeing the joy that Doria has is amazing. And of course, this one. This one and the one where Doria has like the styrofoam container where she's walking with it. And then this is another photo from the the shopping trip that she took. So yeah, I didn't get a chance to mention any of those. And that was it. That was it. Let me see. I did an app like that to show how I would look if I was the opposite sex. In my pic, I look just like my brother. I did one of those, and I think I ended up looking like Queen Latifah or something. So, yeah, it was funny. Let me see. Yeah, those apps are dangerous. They are dangerous. Let me see. Okay, you guys, I'm dragging because I have to make a choice. I know. Thank you, MLC. I have to make a choice, and the sooner the better. So I'm going to make my choice. I am going to keep it secret, and I'm not going to comment on either channel, so you won't know what my choice was. But either way, I'm going to go back and listen to the one that I don't decide now. I'll watch it later for sure, because I want to know how both of them feel about archetypes. So we'll just keep this between us. Okay, love you guys. I am going to end broadcast, and as Joyce Myers would say, remember, there is life in the word, and that's why I'm offering this 3-part cassette series. Oh man, I used to do Joyce Myers impersonation. Remember, there is life in the word. Oh man, see, look at me dragging. Okay, bye y'all.